Hey gang, Kawaii50 here, and today we're going to begin a long and grim dark journey with Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, a CRPG from Owlcat Games that I did not expect to like nearly as much as I did. I mean it when I say that, by the way. We're gonna be playing on Grim Darkness mode. All of our decisions will be final, there will be no manual saving, and if we die, well, there goes the entire save file. Completely deleted, sent to the Shadow Realm. I'm really hoping you all enjoy this series because I'm having a ton of fun making it. And if you do, consider liking, subscribing, and maybe you'll see more. Now, let's take our journey into the grim, dark future of the 41st millennium, and I'll explain all of the terrible things along the way as we go. Now, first and foremost, we're going to need to construct our Rogue Trader, and don't worry, I won't be taking 5 hours in character creation like any reasonable Baldur's Gate 3 player would. This should work just fine for our guy. Now, the reason we look like a wizard who hasn't seen the sun in 10 decades is because that is exactly what we are going to be. Continuing on with character creation, we're going to need to determine our planet of origin. Now, I'll be going with a Forge World character, specifically for a really good skill called Calculated Relations. This allows us to scale all of our social stats off of our intelligence instead of our fellowship, and all of our previous skills that are based off of intelligence will still apply as well, so we'll still be able to do things like pick locks, know things, and patch ourselves up with our huge brain.
Yeah. This is big brain time.
Combining this with a specific party member from the Void Shadows DLC who will never leave our group if we can help it, and will probably end up romancing, let's be real. We will be absolutely sure to pass basically every single skill check in the game, something that's very important when one wrong move can result in our death and the deletion of our entire save file. We're also going to snag the Analytics System buff, adding a hefty bonus to our crit chance. We're going to need to end our encounters as fast as possible, because every fight is an opportunity to experience a painful and agonizing death. For our origin, we will be sealing the deal on wizard shenanigans, and going with the Sanctioned Psyker origin, with a specialization in Pyromancy. Now, Pyromancy is simply the art of setting things on fire with your mind. Now, the reason I'm picking this is going to become more apparent as we level up, so for now, the first video in the series, just assume that setting things on fire with your mind is really, really cool. Now, we do have our triumphs and our darkest hours. They're going to grant us some skill bonuses here and there, but it's only a plus or a -5, and is eventually going to be negated by our ability to outthink every skill in the game. So let's not worry too much about that. As for our stats, we're taking willpower, which is important for psychers, int, which we need again for psychers and all of our skills, and perception, because good lord is this an even more important stat in Rogue Trader than it is in D&D. You have no idea how much a run can be lost by a single failed perception roll. It is terrible. We're going to be taking the Operative as our starting class as well, since it scales heavily off of int and is going to grant us some debuffs that we'll need to try to one-hit kill as many people as possible. Let's go ahead and go with a name. I'm going to go with Victor. Our character's last name is going to be Von Valancius, so Victor Von Valancius just rolls off the tongue very, very well. And as for our ship, we're going to go with the Firestorm ship. This is from the additional DLC. I used the standard ship in our previous run. We're going to use this one instead, just to keep on brand with the fire theme, and we will name it the Burninator, because again, fire. Lots and lots of fire. And now we're good to, finally play the game. Now we open on a very fancy prayer service to our holy god emperor of mankind. You've probably seen him in memes around the internet. That Giga Chad who keeps the warp from tearing the universe asunder, is very involved in all those crazy fights back in the day, and is the most powerful psyker ever forever with his beautiful golden armor. Like, we can't even compare to him. We will never even come close, even at max level. Look, I'm not going to recount the entire Horus heresy for you, even though I could, so please just read it. It's honestly worth your time. And it is here we meet our very first NPC, Coonrod. Coonrod tells us why we're here. Apparently, we're a blood relative of the Lord Captain on this ship, Theodora von Valancius. Since we won the genetic lottery, that means that we are one of the suitable heirs to her dynasty. And since she has more money than God, we've been ripped away from our previous life, which was probably terrible, solely to be her heir. We go off with Coonrod to meet her when, well, this happens.
One of the von Valancius trophy rooms. Perhaps you would like to take a look around after your audience with the Lord Captain. What's happening? Run! The servitors have gone berserk!
One of the servitors has gone totally berserk. Now, I initially said I was going to get to what a servitor was in the few, but then I realized in the script that I never went over that, so let's just go ahead and talk about this now. Servitors are essentially humans that have been turned into automatons, sort of like robot servants to carry out your bidding, with a quick and simple lobotomy. Sometimes the lobotomy doesn't take, and they retain some semblance of free will and start to act erratically, and are probably in the midst of a complete and total living hell. But I don't know if that's the case for this guy. Now, we really, ran into a lot of issues with this servitor because, I mean, the very first time I played this, he completely and utterly one-shot me. I know it doesn't bode well for this playthrough, but I'm better now, I promise, and we are going to be absolutely okay going forward, because I'm going to stay away from him.
Well, I don't do my iconic victory dance for nothing. Okay, I guess just this once I can do it for nothing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, I guess I can do one more for nothing. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
After dispatching the servitor, Coonrod stays behind for completely non-nefarious reasons, and we finally meet Theodora and our rival for an entire multi-planet trade dynasty. I dunk on him by answering a simple question and embracing my role as a battle wizard, and then we get ambushed again after Theodora remarks on how famous and awesome I am despite only being level 1. We then had this neat encounter where we see what awaits in our future as we become a higher level character. Our party members destroy our enemies, and we kinda help a little bit. You probably noticed by now that I'm playing fights on double speed, and look, fights in this and the game as a whole are gonna be long enough. Allow me to cut corners on some things, including combat animations, okay? A lot of the fat is gonna be trimmed over the course of this playthrough for all of our sakes. We head out, try to help with the rebellion on the ship, and find the completely not obvious culprit very quickly. Coonrod wakes us up outside of the room housing Theodora's warrant of trade. And at this point, I should probably explain what this allows a rogue trader to do. The giant piece of paper behind those doors allows Theodora's entire bloodline to scour the outer reaches of space, own planets, amass completely unfathomable amounts of wealth that would make Elon Musk feel even more lame than he already should, and also allows us to commit just a little bit of heresy. As a treat, as long as it all contributes towards spreading the glory of humanity throughout the furthest reaches of the cosmos. After not opting to call Coonrod inbred, and instead trying to set him on fire with my mind, I fail. But the world's worst mutineer did not account for the fact that giant vaults with very important things behind them usually have defense systems.
There is still another way.
We head in the vault, make sure the giant piece of paper is fine, bask in its glory as it was personally touched by the God Emperor, and exit the vault where we're treated to one of the coolest character entrances I've seen in any CRPG.
Run, fools, or fall
This is Abelard, Theodora's seneschal, which is basically her right-hand man and our future walking fortress. Grandpa finally gives us some basic gear, which is better than the nothing we had previously, and we head out to stop the mutiny. This is not the character we're looking for that I alluded to at the start of the video, but you will see Abelard throughout the majority of this playthrough, as he is going to be one of our main sources of melee damage, and our primary recipient of any and all heavy armor that we find. After clearing out the riffraff, we get our first level up! I'll link the builds we're using in the description, but trust me when I say that we are trying to optimize as much as possible. You'll even see that in some of the different paths we take through on maps in this video, specifically to try to squeeze a level up out of it before a big encounter. Abelard's going to pick up athletics to help us traverse heavy terrain, and our protagonist takes tech use since that scales off of int and is the lockpicking of this game. We're gonna need it until we get another character later. I can't afford to miss out on any gear in this mode solely because we couldn't open something. That would feel really bad. We head off to the Navigator's Sanctum, which, quick abridged, the Navigator is essentially a living, breathing Google Maps in space. We end up meeting our next party member right outside of the chambers.
Here, on the threshold of the blinded guide, doom comes from the heavens.
Master, watch your head.
This is Idira, a psyker like us and the main source of damage in our early game. She will always be one psychic level above us, a thing I am totally not salty about whatsoever, and her specialty in the early game will be using her brain to explode other people's brains. She's also just a little bit heretical, so when we start getting alignment-restricted equipment, get to that later, she will get all of that stuff by default. It makes it super easy to gear her up. After the fight, we save our GPS, find out he's corrupted by demons, and will probably die.
Fall to your knees, mortals, and behold the final dawn.
You shut up! You shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
Whatever, we'll probably be fine. But more importantly, we get our own psychic staff from the guy that we fought here, instead of this sniper rifle Abelard gave us. These wizard staffs will be given to us ASAP, and we will always use the best one available out of all the ones we have access to. This is the most massive upgrade we've received by far, and it's just a really cool stick that we found on the ground. We head off to the next area, the officers' quarters, and we finally get her.
Ship's as good as ours! It's all over for you!
I shall pity not your enemies. I shall heed not their pleas.
Somebody shoot these
I shall betray not your tenets, nor stray one step from them. Take not your gaze from me. Leave me not without your grace.
I told you he would protect us.
My God, my light, my emperor.
This strong, independent woman is Argenta, one of the 3 companions who will now never leave our party. She's been nerfed since the game initially came out, but is still by far the strongest party member from a combat standpoint, or at least tied for it. She has the ability to just continue shooting from bolters until everything in the room is dead, and we will wipe out the vast majority of late game encounters with just her. She will become massively overpowered. But at this point in the game, she's actually pretty terrible because it's very difficult for her to hit things. It's okay though, since after we get enough ballistic skill and put different upgrades into her kit with different gear, she's gonna be a lot better. You'll see that I'm not lying to you as we keep playing.
Do you know how easy this is for me? Do you have any fucking idea how easy this is? This is a fucking joke. And I'm sorry you can't do this. I really am, because I wouldn't have to fucking sit here and watch you fumble around and fuck it up.
We loot the room and the nearby secret compartments, again with the power of our huge brain, and upon opening the door, we need to take a break for another level up. I wasn't joking, everything we do will be dropped immediately in favor of leveling up our characters, because boy will we need every advantage we can take. This level up itself isn't exciting at all because it's all skills we need to take, but they're combat buffs for Abelard and Argenta and enemy debuffs for our rogue trader and Idira, so we'll definitely take that over getting absolutely nothing. In the next area, we're almost at the bridge, and we get a warp ghost of our Lord Captain and our very first choice between 3 morality paths. It's pretty ominous. Yes, this game has a morality path system, which is probably time to elaborate on. There are 3 paths available to us. Dogmatic, which is all about pure glory to the God Emperor and adherence to religion in all aspects, sometimes just so we don't get murdered for being a heretic. You can expect the vast majority of people in the 40k universe to be like this. Iconoclast is the path where we're one of the rarest things in the 40k universe, a decent person who values human life. And heretical is exactly what you think it would be. You're just a bastard-coated bastard with bastard filling, and it makes for a very difficult playthrough, because sometimes you can't even keep certain party members. Things are already going to be hard enough for us, so for better or worse, we're just going to try to be a decent guy and save these people. It is hard mode after all. Psychers have issues with Imperial religion sometimes anyways. Not everyone considers us people. It's very complicated. We take a quick detour to Theodora's room to see how she's doing, and, well...
Do you have any ibuprofen? I got a headache.
After some amazing carrying from Idira's VA...
Lord Captain, I didn't hear a thing. Not a whisper, not a breath. It was so loud. Why didn't I foresee this?
We grab some shinies and her gear that she obviously no longer needs and make our way to the bridge.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Moving into the next room, our fellow heir with no shown portrait of course sacrifices himself and clears the way for us to be the rogue trader. Our succession is absolutely secured now, which is, you know, exciting, complicated feelings, not really. I'm very glad that I'm the rogue trader. This leads us into our very first boss fight. Coonrod has continued to fail spectacularly, and if you know what you're doing, this boss fight is basically going to end pretty much the same way all of his other plans have. The key here is not going to be going after the big scary monster, despite every bone in any of our bodies telling us to do so. Instead, we need to adopt MMO logic and go after all of the tiny little guys accompanying him. This is because if his HP gets too low, he's going to go ahead and eat up a little guy, restoring a ton of his health and making the fight go on an agonizingly long time. Argenta and Idira have been the main reason things haven't ended for us right here, with some lucky hits that honestly shouldn't be possible from Argenta paving the way. Thank you, oh blessed RNGesus, for helping me outside of a goddamn gacha game. Abelard puts in work on the Chaos Spawn with a whole extra turn, and I am infinitely glad that I moved Idira because of this insane trick shot. And with one last slash from Abelard, the Chaos Spawn dies, and we pop the achievement for beating him without the guy regaining any health. It's a very nice bonus. We snag our obligatory boss gear that's decent enough and take a break to level up. I finally get the calculated relations skill on my rogue trader, which is the whole reason I picked this origin. This means that the vast majority of the entire skill checks the party will make will all scale off of my character's intelligence, and I can just dump as many points as possible into that, with only a couple not being covered at this point. This is just what we need. Abelard is grabbing defensive stance for a cool 20% armor bonus before attacking, with some weapon skill to make his attacks hit and crit more often, plus it'll up his parry chance. Idira gets willpower, a stat that's also important for us to resist the horrors of the warp and psychic damage, as well as an ability that makes her spells get a little bit of extra range. Very handy, because sniper rifle enemies are gonna start showing up. Finally, Argenta is going to get the first of many needed bonuses to her ballistic skill and a skill called Alacrity, making it so every shot she fires grants her +1 agility by the end of her next turn. By endgame, Argenta is going to be emptying multiple clips from her high-capacity weapons into enemies, so this skill is going to eventually scale really hard on her and ensure that even misses will grant her some advantages on following shots. After this level up, events that are really no big deal happen. We just exit the warp, get visited by the ghosts of Warhammer Future, and finally become the actual rogue trader. Next, we meet our officers. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them since they're the supporting cast after all, but let's just say that Janice Danrock is going to be our shop guy, Z-Raw is currently an NPC stand-in for one of the coolest party members in the game, Ravor drives, Vigdis is a walking cell phone, and the Master of Ordnance is the stereotypical guy who doubts our leadership in the beginning of the game. I do not care. He doesn't even have a portrait. Why should I care? We learn from them that we have a lot on our plate starting now. We both need to check on and assert our dominance on the planets that we own. Our predecessor had a message from High Inquisitor Xavier Calcazar, a guy we really don't want to make mad because he can just turn an entire planet to glass if he feels like it. And Idira is having cryptic visions of the future. I still wonder why they can never be clear visions of the future, but I guess that creates intrigue, doesn't it? We're going to start our tour of duty by giving some orphans some candy for good boy points. We'll watch a man explode as he tries to process a message from our Dynasty-appointed Discord kitten. And finally, we have reached Tutorial Galaxy, with the entirety of the expanse later waiting to be explored. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I'm really enjoying getting this video out here. I did not expect to have as much fun with this game as I did, and I hope that you'll end up sticking with me for all of the future videos in this series. I'm posting the entire Rogue Trader run, win or lose. It's just going to happen. CRPGs are making a comeback, as you probably know, with Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm excited to have another chance to enjoy all of them all over again and get my interest in the Warhammer universe thoroughly massaged, as it were. Big thanks to everyone on the Discord, Patreon, and Ko-fi for checking, just being supportive, checking this video out. Big thanks to you for watching this video all the way to the end. You watched it to the end, so you should probably like it, right? You should probably subscribe, right? I mean, you clearly liked it. Come on, let's go. Maybe check the links in the description. Follow me at Kawaii50 on Twitter and Blue Sky. Have a phenomenal day. Most importantly, there we go, my fingers in the camera now. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.